this was a 2-year project, right? It was funded from Status Quo Canada and Public Safety Canada, so the federal government. The first 9 months was funded by Status Quo Canada. The money was given to Ottawa, York Region, and Edmonton. And the whole purpose was to research the sexual exploitation of women and girls in our city, all right? From now on, when we talk about international crossing borders, I want you guys to put down human smuggling, all right? Write that down, do whatever you want to do with it. But when you think about crossing borders, international waters or whatnot, that's smuggling. And what you'll find with smuggling is that a lot of the time it's a consensual act, where if somebody's living in a country that's feeling unrest, civil war, poverty, etc., and they're looking for that better life, they may pay somebody to help them get into another country, right? Human trafficking, while it has happened overseas, what we're talking about today is the domestic form of human trafficking. So everything we're going to talk about, the stories I'm going to share, the numbers you're going to observe, are all specific to our city. Okay? We identified 140 victims in the city of Ottawa, and that was only during a 9-month research period. Okay, so the numbers obviously can fluctuate now, but that's a very conservative number, right? Just look at myth number 1 and myth number 2. All right, we spoke about this. Foreign nationals, right? A lot of people are under the impression that human trafficking victims are people that come to Canada for a better life, or they were lured overseas, right? In Ottawa, during our research, 90% of the 140 victims were local residents of Ottawa, born and raised in the city, all right? So they were accustomed with our culture, our values. They grew up here, they went to our local high schools, they played on our local soccer teams, they grew up in our local communities, and this happened to them, right? So it's not to say that we're not immune, right? It can happen to anybody. Now, that being said, I don't want you to leave this room and go hide in the closet and say, I'm terrified now that I'm going to become a victim of trafficking. But certainly, you need to understand that it could happen to anybody, so don't just look for a particular type of person, right? Number 2 is, well, transportation. When we talk about transportation, I want you to think locally, moving somebody across the street. Imagine moving from one hotel to another, one room to another room, one house to another house, right? Very, very simple stuff when it talks to transportation, okay? This is sort of a characteristic breakdown, right? Caucasian, living in poverty, Aboriginal, minorities, sort of breakdown the numbers. When you think of risk factors and vulnerabilities, I'm going to ask you, and we're only going to take a few answers because I don't want to take up too much time, but what do you think could make somebody vulnerable or susceptible to becoming a victim of trafficking? Or what are some risk factors in their lives?
Low self-esteem?
It's the biggest one. The first person to get it today. If you look at these numbers, just over 40% of the victims identified are between 9 and 18 years old. And to put that in context for you, that's grade 4 to first year college university. All right? That's Ottawa. So there's the grade 4 student in Ottawa that's being recruited, manipulated, and sold for sex. Okay? Now, if you look at the second bulk of that number, 18 to 25. So almost 3/4 of the victims we identified, which I'll remind you is a very conservative number, are between 9 and 25 years old. Now, the 9-year-old was one individual case, but it's still a person, and that's still a number. The bulk of that age range is 16 years old. I'm sure many of you are probably 17 to 20 years old, so you're not far off, so you can understand. Now, and what I've seen in some of the courses and research is that you have people as young as 9 years old get lured into this, and then the trafficker is asking them to lure in their younger siblings. And we've seen people, some of the purchasers, who, are pedophiles, seeking out children as young as 1 and 2 years old, right? And they're using the young demographic to lure their siblings into this, right? And it's all through coercion and manipulation. Now, this is a reality check. I'm not here to guilt trip you and make you feel bad, but think about that. Think about the labels you apply on people, think about the stigmas applied on people, think about passing judgment. Because I'm sure we all pass judgment on each other every single day. We do it to our friends, it's very natural. We need to stop that. All right? You need to start being objective, you need to start being mature, you need to start looking at social issues. That being what is done, how is it done, is the means, and the purpose is why is it done. So we look at recruitment. My colleague Mead is going to speak to that. Transportation, I already spoke to that. How is it done? Threats, use of force, coercion, manipulation, deception, various means. And why is it done? because it is the second most lucrative organized crime in the world. Does anybody want to take a guess at how much money it generates annually on a global scale? Wait for the mic here.
Millions, if not billions.
36 to 40 billion dollars. That's for selling human beings. Where we found human trafficking flourishes the most in our city is the downtown core, Vanier, and Canada. Here's an example. We have a young girl, it's a true story. We have a young girl, she has very low self-esteem, right? But she likes to populate her Facebook with friends, because the more Facebook friends she has, the more sense of social status she feels she gains, right? And I've seen that in personal friends of mine on Facebook that have 3,000 friends. Nobody knows 3,000 people. But if you add every single person you find attractive and they accept, you'll get 3,000 friends, right? And some people laugh, and the ones that are laughing are probably the ones doing it. So I can see you guys. Anyways, she's accepting everybody, and she gets a private message. And it's this older guy. She says, oh, he's really cute. He says, hey, how's it going? I saw your pictures, thought you were really cute. Just wanted to say hi. So she's receptive. So she says, oh, hey, how's it going? So they start chatting a bit. She feels comfortable. He's being flirtatious. It's going okay. She finds him attractive. She's creeped all his pictures. He's got a nice car. He's older. He's in college. I like this. So it's appealing. I'm going to give him my phone number. We're going to start texting. So they start texting back and forth, and they're staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning on the phone, texting and chatting, and sharing information. I'm sure we've all done that once or twice. Maybe not with a complete stranger, but somebody that you've recently dated. And so this develops into saying, would you like to go to a party sometime? She says, yeah. He says, okay, I'm going to pick you up, bring you to a party, it's going to be a lot of fun. So he picks her up down the street from her house, so her parents don't find out. She gets into his car, she's feeling really special, it's going to be awesome. They go off to the party. They're having a good old time at the party. They're dancing, they're drinking, they're smoking a little bit of weed, everyone's having a good time. And then she passes out. She wakes up the next day, and she's at his house. She says, I don't remember what happened, how did I end up here? He says, well, you passed out at the party, you had too much to drink, so I brought you back to my place. I didn't want to bring you home in the state because your parents would be pissed at you. So he says, okay, I'm going to bring you home, and he drops her off at home. An hour later, he sends her a text message. There's a picture of her, she's drinking, she's dancing, she's having a good time. And she says, oh, I loved it. She said, I got to meet so many cool people, I had so much fun, thank you so much. And he sends her another picture, and she's naked. So she says, I don't remember what happened. How did this happen? Why are these pictures taken? Who took these? What's going on? Sends her another picture. And she's in one of the bedrooms, and she's being sexually assaulted by a group of guys, which they call running a train on her. You guys familiar with that term? Why do you think those pictures were taken? Blackmail. Someone said blackmail, so we're going to go with blackmail, because that's the answer. Blackmail. So the pictures were taken for blackmail purposes. So you think about this. She could spend so much time talking to him on the phone and texting him and these types of things, right? And now he's got these pictures. And he says, well, I know everything about you. I know where you live. I know all about your brother, your sister, your parents, where they go to school, what soccer teams they play for. I got your address. I know all your friends because I spent the last so many days on the phone with you. So, you're either going to repay this debt because I took you to a party, I bought you alcohol, I gave you weed, and it wasn't free. Or I'm going to take these pictures, I'm going to mail them to your house, I'm going to send them to your parents' work, I'm going to send them to your brother's school, I'm going to post them on Facebook, and send them to all your friends around the school. Everyone's going to have a picture of you naked on the locker, and they're all going to know that you're a slut. Now these pictures, sometimes they turn into videos. And sometimes they go online, not just Facebook and social media, but they go onto amateur pornography sites. All right? Now I'm sure many of you in this room have viewed online pornography. Don't raise your hands about yourselves. And I can guarantee you have. And the question I ask you is, are you under the impression that what you're viewing is always a consensual act?